Hi everyone, it's Mary with Happy Pine Soap. Today we're going to be making a gorgeous watercolor style cold process soap. We're going to start with our hard oils, which I've listed out here, and also we have some beautiful colors from Mad Micas. I've dispersed them into a lightweight oil already. We're going to start with Blue Tide from Mad Micas, as well as Bermuda Triangle. We also have Peach Taffy, one of my favorites. And the last one, we're using Snow White instead of titanium dioxide. I like to add my fragrances the night before to kale and clay. This is supposed to help them stick longer in cold process soap. I've used about 3 tablespoons of kale and clay, and with my mini mixer, blended that with the 2 fragrances. We have Merry Memories from Midwest Fragrances, and we have Red Apple from Brambleberry. These are our soft oils, which include high oleic sunflower oil, castor oil, and canola. They are at room temperature right now at about 71 degrees. This time I am heating my hard oils a little bit hotter than my last recipe, Sky Fury. I noticed I had stearic spots, and so I'm going to get my hard oils, those with the palmitic and stearic acids, at a much higher temp to try to avoid those stearic spots. So they're at about 130, and then when I pour them into the soft oils, it reduces the temp of the combined oils pretty well, where I don't have to wait for the temp to reduce very much. Now we're adding those hard oils into the soft oils, and as you'll see here in just a second, this gets the temperature down to about 115 degrees for the 2 oils together. I've waited just a few extra minutes so that the oils can go down to 105, which is closer to what my lye solution is at. I didn't want the oils to cool any lower than 100 degrees because, again, I am trying to reduce the stearic spots, so you have to soap a little bit warmer to avoid them. Now we're going to begin to blend the oils and lye solution together. You want to barely bring it to emulsion, maybe just a little bit past, just a very, very thin trace. You want this recipe to stay fluid because there is a lot of pouring that goes into making this watercolor design. And here I am adding my dispersed fragrance oils that were in kale and clay to the batter. I'm really taking a chance here with it accelerating. Sometimes fragrances can cause acceleration and ruin how fluid the batter would be, but in this case I've purposely chosen fragrances that were supposed to play nice. After you have reached a very light emulsion or very light trace, you're going to pour off the batter into 3 separate colors. I measured about 5.3 ounces for my 3 colors into separate pour containers, and then the main part of the batch will have white mica in it. Now I'm adding my white mica into the main portion of the batter. This I find is better than titanium dioxide, which tends to leave sometimes little white specks or clumps. It's hard to get titanium dioxide to be completely smooth, so I prefer the white mica. And here I'm showing you those smaller pour containers with the 5.3 ounces. This entire batch is 5 pounds, so about a pound of the soap went for the 3 separate colors and divided equally. All right, we're going to begin to pour our color gradient or ombre. We're going to start from dark to light, and I'll be adding white for my main part of the batch into each color bit by bit in a gradual fashion so that the colors lighten gradually over time as I pour. You'll notice that I propped my mold up on a towel so that it has a bit of an angle, which just makes it easier to pour these ombres in a nice fashion without the batter sliding across the entire mold. You'll see later on that I gradually lower the mold and take the towel out as the batter gets higher to the top. The video has been sped up, so I just wanted to point out that I poured from the white container about 3 to 4 seconds into the colored container before stirring it and adding it to the next layer. You can see that the batter is starting to thicken up, so I was starting to have to speed up a little bit as this process went along, because I was trying to avoid the batter becoming too thick, where it would be really hard then to have that beautiful graduated ombre effect in the colors. At the end of this particular gradient, I started to notice I was using more of the white than I anticipated, and I was afraid of running out of it. So I started to pour in more those horizontal left and right pours that I'm doing. Instead of just doing it twice like in the beginning, I started to pour them more like 4 swipes across, and sometimes even upwards of 6 or more as I was starting to run out of batter. All right, now I'm starting that beautiful peach taffy ombre. And again, I've started to speed up as I go along because the batter is thickening and I am running out of the white, again, more than I thought I would. So I've started to kind of speed up as I went along. it can be really challenging to balance trace and temperature and your oils so that the batter stays fluid. I have found that soaping warmer makes the batter thicken a little bit quicker, and I did have to soap warmer here to avoid the stearic spots. So that's probably why this batter is just a little bit thicker than my Sky Fury design. That one was the exact same recipe as this one, but it stayed fluid a little bit longer, and I'm pretty sure that's because I soaped at a lower temperature. But again, trying to avoid those stearic spots, so I was above 100 degrees as I started soaping here. You always want to check your fragrances before you use them in a design, especially one that's more complex like this. You do not want any fragrance that is going to discolor or accelerate or rice. Ricing is when it can take on a textured or curdled appearance as well. So some fragrances can do that. So for a special design such as this one that's more complex, you want a very well-behaved fragrance that does not accelerate and does not discolor. And now we're on to the last ombre, the Blue Tide. I am pretty pleased that the batter, even though it did thicken up a little bit, it is still behaving itself and it's still remaining fluid enough to pour these ombre gradients. So I was very happy about that. And you can tell now that the towel is gone. As I get closer to the top, I had to take it out so that the soap did not overflow. And I also am tamping it down on the counter a few times throughout this pouring process to try to reduce as many air bubbles and to flatten the batter out as much as possible. This is the first time I am doing this watercolor technique. I've never done it before, so I really had no idea what these bars would look like when I cut them. So a lot of my designs are just play for me. I really enjoy soaping. It's such a wonderful creative outlet. I was an artist many years ago before I became a therapist, and my true passion and love is in creating art. And I love that soap is both art and practical. And so making these soaps absolutely gorgeous and beautiful is just really satisfying to me. And I love getting to use them as well. So it's like a practical form of art, which really is so neat and unique. All right, we're almost to the end here. Boy, was it a relief that I managed to get all these gradients in without the soap thickening so much that I couldn't pour. It was a challenge, let me tell you. So I was super pleased that I was able to accomplish this. As I mentioned, I had no idea if this batter would behave itself the entire time. I am working with a new batter here that's one of my own, and I am pretty pleased with this recipe. I think it's a keeper. It's also supposed to be one that has more longevity to it as well, based on the oils I chose. So this is where we're going to wait about 15 to 20 minutes for the soap to thicken up enough. And then I have an identical 5-pound mold next to it that I will start scooping the soap out, basically. And so after about 15 to 20 minutes, I started scooping it into the other mold. I tried to vary the colors and where I placed them to try to make it as pretty and artistic as possible. But again, having no idea what this is going to look like, it was just an exercise in patience and confidence that this would end up being something that I liked. As you see, I'm also tapping the mold on the counter to try to get some of the soap to settle. I'm trying to prevent air pockets. I wasn't 100% successful in reducing all of the air pockets, but overall the finished soap was pretty smooth when it cured. Let me tell you, this entire process is an exercise in trust, because at this point you're thinking to yourself, what in the heck am I doing, right? I ruined this perfect gradient pour. This had better work out. So I cannot wait to show you the finished bars. I was absolutely stunned by how beautiful they were. So trust the process. All right, I do like to oven process my soaps. This makes them harder, quicker. They're easier to unmold, and their colors are more vibrant and pop more as well. All right, I have managed to get the soap out of the mold in about 6 hours actually. So 6 to 7 hours, this wonderful soap is ready to cut. It's firm enough to touch without leaving, marks of your fingers in it. And I was already starting to get excited about the cut just from looking at the outside. Right, now we're on to everybody's favorite part, the cut. We're going to start vertically, and then as you see, the end part of the loaf here I'm going to use to cut horizontally. So instead of top down, I am doing it in kind of the left right motion instead. You'll see the top of the loaf there. So I've cut horizontally as opposed to vertically, and both produce an absolutely stunning look, but they are different. I do believe the horizontal cut is a little bit more watercolor painting like than the vertical cut, but they both are really beautiful. All right, just in case it was not clear, the horizontal cut is basically done with the leftover end piece that I had from my vertical cut. Essentially, instead of cutting top down, as if you were cutting a slice of bread off a loaf, you're cutting horizontal, so from left to right across the long edge of the loaf, and that results in this more beautiful, more like a painting, a watercolor painting. It doesn't mean that the horizontal cut is better or prettier than the vertical cut. I think they both are gorgeous, but if you want more of a painting look, which my assumption would be, that's why it's called watercolor, I think the horizontal cut is the one that does look a little bit more like a painting. But again, the vertical cut is absolutely gorgeous. It has its own merits, and it's probably up to your personal preference which one you like better. All right, now these are the vertically cut ones. So as you can see, the top of the loaf is where I textured it. And these were done on the multi-bar cutter from the top down approach as opposed to the horizontal or left-right approach. I wanted to show you several examples of each cut so that you get an idea of what the overall look is of this gorgeous technique. Each bar is completely unique. I'm just absolutely in love with how they turned out. Very impressed. This is an amazing technique. right, now I'm going to show you the difference between the two cuts side by side so you can see them even better. The one on the right, of course, is the one that's cut horizontal. It does look a little bit more watercolor-like than the vertical cut on the left, but they're both absolutely gorgeous. Here it is, the horizontal cut on the left. Again, it does look a little bit more watercolor painting-like, but again, the one on the right is by no means inferior. It's probably a matter of preference, which one you like better. I like both of them. I think I'm happy with both, actually. And again, the horizontal cut is shown here, and the vertical cut is shown here. And as you can see, I successfully managed to reduce a ton of the stearic spots by keeping the oils much hotter this time. So I'm very pleased with that as well. So thank you so much, everybody, for watching. If you would like more soapy content and tutorials, please like and subscribe. Feel free to drop me any comments or ask me any questions, and I'll do my best to answer them. And again, thank you again, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.